Starlight Investments regarding tenancy relocation program opportunity. On behalf of IMH Pool XLP and DMS Property Management, Starlight Investments is pleased to advise you of the opportunity to take advantage of the tenancy relocation program being offered at 295 Dufferin Street. In exchange for you vacating your suite on or before March 31st, 2015 and terminating your lease, you are eligible for a one-time sizable cash payment. We look forward to hearing from you. Best regards, Starlight Investments. And that is the letter that we received on December 2nd.
What is it basically offering in simpler terms?
We'll give you some money if you leave your suite. This sounds like a secret predatory strategy.
Program opportunity. On behalf of IMH Pool XLIP or LP and DMS Property Management Limited, Starlight Investments Limited is pleased to advise you of the opportunity to take advantage of the tenancy relocation program. You're eligible for one-time sizable cash payment.
How much?
Does it say?
We're gonna phone and find out.
That's a good deal.
No.
What's the carrot and the
That's a good deal?
No, if
No,
you
no,
Take a look at rent. Take a look at rent anywhere. You want a garbage apartment, you're going to pay $800 for a bachelor.
This kind of thing that's going to go on in the building, right? So
Yeah.
after a while, you guys are going to be paying 6, 7, 8% extra
Yeah.
over the regular, and then people are going to start getting squeezed, and they're going to look at that tiny bit of cash that's being offered, right? They're feeling the squeeze and thinking maybe I could use $1,000, and they're going to start taking the offers. Like
That's what I'm worried about.
they're cranking up the rents in these places beyond the regular increases. And then people get more and more squeezed and think, I can't handle $100 more a month after 3 years. Maybe I'll take the buyout. That's what's really, I think, the serious business here, one of the serious points of
Well,
this.
what I think is they're going to start renovating. They're going to leave us in there and start renovating the suites that are empty and leave us in the mess.
They'll renew the offer.
They'll renew
That's
the
what I
offer
would
until they
think.
get
Yeah.
as many people out as, they
That's
they
what I
want
would think.
people to think, they'll just keep doing it.
Well, this is the new reality of, and we still haven't found a formula to fight it. We're still fighting.
Well, I'm a poor person like everybody, and I fight for people in the neighborhood because what they are suffering, I'm the same one. We're in the same boat. We're not rich, so I fight for all the tenants in Parkdale. I don't fight for myself. I fight for all the people in my building. They're paying their rent. They're doing 2 and 3 jobs. Some of them on pension, and the landlord don't listen. They're just ignoring you. Like the other day, I'm working. I don't have time to stay in the building because I'm at work all the time. One tenant is looking for me. She come. Hey Diane, did you know 3 days now we didn't have heat? I said, really? She say I'm freezing. And right now, the garbage chute, they're not cleaning it properly. And now I see roaches coming. My neighbor had bed bug. And you know, I'm not home, I'm working all the time, right? And one day I find 2 in my place. And I hide everything, throw it away. Everything, all my table, chair, everything. I don't have, you see, I don't have anything.
How did that make you feel?
Oh, I go crazy.
Why?
I can't sleep. You're only thinking of cleaning up your place to get it back in order. I say I like the way I am now. I don't have no bed bug.
Came here when I was about like 4 years old. And just down there is where I have lived since. That is my apartment. Yes. You can hear my mother aggressively playing Celine Dion. Oh, looks like somebody took one of the signs.
Can you explain about that?
Yeah, the sign was essentially to tell people that they had an option, that they didn't have to just conform to what they're being told by the Starlight letter. It was saying that Starlight could essentially charge upgrade costs that people may not receive if they stay here, and that we don't have to put up with that. It's worrisome, you know? It's essentially giving low-income tenants a chance to leave so that I guess they can do whatever it is they want to do. It's most likely going to be renovating those suites, making them more condo-esque, and then using that as an excuse to charge higher rent, which I would surmise would eventually cause the remaining tenants to move out because they can't afford it. I mean, I don't know how it would be to be here and just watch as, you know, corporations continue to take over the small businesses and the things that give this place character. Like, this is really a one-of-a-kind neighborhood. It really is.
Right now, the rental rules in Ontario actually create an incentive for landlords to drive low-income tenants out, fix the unit up, and charge market rates. We're finding a couple of major companies like Accolades who are turning this practice into a devilish art and causing a lot of low-income people to lose their housing and be replaced by people with more financial means. Well, I've spoken to staff at both Accolades and also the ownership at Metcap. My experience of them is that these are people who think that they're running just a business. They think of apartment units the way that General Motors thinks of cars. They want to put out the best car that they can. They're blind to who the customers are and what the social consequence of the car is, or the apartment unit in this case. Getting them to understand that actually they contribute to social forces that speak to equity, justice, social inclusion, and quality of life for everybody, it's a challenge.
Hi, I'm doing my thesis right now. I was wondering if there's anybody I could maybe schedule an interview with.
I would have to take their information and pass it on. They're very busy, so you can only imagine how busy they are, so to be able to take some time.
Yeah, I've sent a couple emails. That's why I showed up.
If you can just write down your name and phone number
Yeah.
and email address for me here. I'll try to see if there's someone that can help you, and I'll get them to contact you directly.
So there's no one here right now I could just talk to and maybe schedule an interview with?
I can look, but I doubt they're gonna have I could ask. And what kind of questions do you have?
On the West End and all the changes going on, mainly in Parkdale right now.
Okay, you know what? I think it would be best if I get someone to contact you directly.
Got stopped by the receptionist. I think I have their names. Should I know?
Well, we figured it wouldn't be like today, but like.
They might call me though.
Yeah.
They took down my info.
What happens is, when an area goes down, the artists move in. So a lot of artists moved into Parkdale. They move in because the living is cheap, but then the yuppies move in because they like art. And then after a while, the prices go up and the artists are out. And that's what happens. So that's a cycle, and that seems to be happening everywhere in the world. And that's the cycle we're in now. So Parkdale is on the upswing economically, but we have a lot of poor people living here who are getting pushed out. And they're getting pushed out because of the gentrification, because landlords like Accolades and like Transglobe can afford to rent sky high because people will live here because it's a desirable area. So there's tremendous gentrification going on. So that's why with the Parkdale Tenant Association, we try to do something about it, but it's an uphill battle. And even if you talk to Premier Wins, he says, no, there's no crisis. Well, of course, she would say that because they get most of it. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to be an organizer or anything like that, you know. There's a lot of boring work. But then again, there are some moments that are really, really great. And one of the biggest things for me is these people are almost like family to me. So I get a real charge out of dealing with people, and you know, stuff happens sometimes. Like 13 years ago, I came down with cancer, and these are the people that came out and supported me. And this is good work. Need more paper? Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people. Here, I'll give you some. So all these companies now come to Canada and they buy the buildings quite cheap because a lot of them are run down. And what they do is they hire a management company in Canada that squeezes out your building like a lemon. And then they try to get rid of the tenants. And there's one way to get rid of the tenants, that's by harassing them out. Because once you get rid of your tenant, that your apartment is no longer under rent control. So the rent jumps way up. That's why the rents are going so high. The new tenant who moves in at a much higher rent, then it's controlled again. So that's called vacancy decontrol. And once you do that, you get, like Metcalf has been doing that for years. They give phony notices to their tenants. They say, you owe us $3,000. You know, they're all into the same game, which is getting rid of their original tenants so they can jack up the rent. That is what it's all about. Now this one, the buyout, that's a new twist, okay? That I haven't seen. Yes, the gentleman there.
Yeah, I just want to say that I've been living here for 20 years in this building. I'm 20 years old. And this is my friend Omar.
Okay, okay, that's Omar, okay.
Yeah.
So you called the Federation?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
a question, because they
No,
just...
let's, because this gentleman here had a question or make a statement. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, after living here for 20 years, you know, this is a lot, so I don't know if it means so much to everyone here, but to us, this is like a community, you know? So...
Yeah. But it happens, unfortunately, that's happening more and more often.
Yeah, I know, like, it's
a
happening around
crazy,
the area.
yeah.
But if
Everyone
we
knows.
stick
This
together,
is becoming
too.
a very desirable area, so the rents are going up and up and up. And it's, you know, people who've been in, specifically people who've been in buildings for 20 years are the ones they want to get rid of, because you will find, because of rent control, that your rent is lower than a lot of people who moved in since.
Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, a lot of people have to move, and they don't know where they're going, so...
Well, then, there's only one thing you can do, is hold on tight.
Just don't move.
And
Like,
just
I'm
let's
not leaving, man.
stick together. I'm not moving.
Just say.
I'll be the last one. I'm not going
I say I'm a really stupid, unreasonable person, and God told me to leave. And that's it. In Tokyo, I got 20 grand for my apartment when they told me to leave. And that was when I said, you know what, 20 grand. And he was like, oh, all right. And I got 20. Friends of mine got 50. I'm not leaving for $2,000. Like, I'll make a mess.
I'm
I've
not
been
even
here
leaving for 20.
years, man. I've been cutting the neighborhood's hair since I was a kid. I'm not leaving. Amen. Hallelujah.
I have a question for...
Do you think people are gonna take the offer?
I spoke with my mother today, and yeah, there are definitely people taking the offer. You know, some of our neighbors are moving out. For some people, it works because they may have already been saving up for a place, right? But for a lot of people, they're taking the offer, but it's not really that great of an offer. It's not that, like, it's not the best incentive, you know, especially to displace yourself from an area that you're familiar with and that you know. Yeah, I don't know. It's an odd thing to think about. Just the fact that some people actually want to take it. I don't think it's worth it.
Do you know your future in this building? What do you foresee?
I honestly don't know. Because I would like to stay. But this this obviously throws a large monkey wrench in that, right? My mother, she's definitely leaning towards moving. Like, she's already been looking for apartments, right? So, I don't know. I mean, that, like, it wasn't what I was expecting.
Are you afraid
Of what?
of not being able to pay rent?
Sure. One day I might lose my job. I don't have money to pay rent. What will become of me? I might have to go on the street and live. Or go in some shelter or something. Because look, the inflation is so high. Cost of living is so high. Everything is going up. And this government don't listen. When they're talking this and that, and then when they go in power, they forget you. And the poor get poor and the rich get rich. So nobody care about the poor. All they care about the rich. And I am pissed off with that. I'm very upset what is going on.
Sarty, we have a gift for you. Inside this box, you will find a very, very, very large list of complaints, 2,800 to be exact.
Okay, thank you.
And I think I described to the reporters what their DSS is.
Okay.
It's 2,800 non-compliant work orders, including everything from infestations to the lack of poor elevator service, lack of repairs overall.
Thank you, we'll take this from there.
Great.
There's a principle that I think most of us carry but don't always articulate, that the law and the market shouldn't make it impossible for anyone to live anywhere. It's a great ideal, but the fact of the matter is that the market says you can't afford to live here, you have to live there. And we wind up with these two solitudes, the people who've made it and the people we forget about. The thing that makes Parkdale glorious is you can have a rooming house next to a family that lives in a house worth $2 million. One of the consequences of the rental decontrol is that that very beautiful model that should speak to Toronto's future is at risk. And if that's at risk, the very idea of a city where everyone is welcome is at risk too.
Well, this is my hood. These are my peeps. These are my peeps here. Most people are really nice. This is one I wrote a long time ago. Just finished it. Took me a long time to write this. How many books have you left unread? Whoa. How many thoughts have you left unsaid? How many pages have you left unturned? Whoa. How do you feel when you're not heard? How many times can you go before you can return? That's okay, thank you, sir. I know. Sorry. How have the flames tempered all you learn? How many times?
Does that make you
Feel bad. I feel bad about it. What is happening? I feel really bad.
Close have you come?
You don't make me feel happy. Nobody listening. And that's what I want.
Have you left behind?
Listen and do something for help the poor.
How many ways did you try not to cry? How many times have you been on to the boat afraid? How many sticks and stones and shameful, hurtful name? How many times have you heard that cruel refrain? How many times?
I'm gonna be finishing up post-secondary very soon. And like 3 or 4 years ago, I imagined that I would be able to leave, but because I wanted to leave, not because I was being priced out or asked to leave.
And turn inside. How much rage, like a raging storm, whoa, to tear asunder your very core. How many times have you laughed when you're the only one? How many times have you thought that you just don't belong? How many times have you thought you'd come undone? How many times? It's too many times. How many times, you stupid kid? It echoes in your head. How many times? Time. How many times, you stupid kid? It echoes in your head. How many times? It's too many times. How many times?